Yeah, so for this week's main topic, well, the reason we talked about earlier, we recorded early last week, was because we were heading out to the Walt Disney World Resort to check out some new reimagined stuff, right, Michelle?
Oh, yeah. And we're very excited to talk about that because it was a little bit of a journey getting there anyway, but we'll get into that.
Yes, it was quite an adventure. We weren't even sure we were going to get a chance to make it out for sure because, well, there was this thing going on that maybe you might have heard a little bit about. Maybe it was a little bit in the news, but of course, Hurricane Helene that was making its way up Florida's west coast and up through the Big Bend area. And then, oh man, poor Carolinas and poor Tennessee and all the devastation that it wreaked out there. Thoughts and prayers with everybody who was in its path. Hopefully you've made it through okay. But yeah, I mean, here we were just concerned about whether or not the resort would even be available for us. And if so, if we would really want to go out when this storm was possibly still going on. Right, Michelle?
Right. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get to it. Now, Michelle has put together a wonderful little PowerPoint presentation for this show. So we are going to go ahead and go through that as we go along. For those of you who are joining us on YouTube, everybody else, we will try and describe this as best as possible. So listen to the show and then go check out the YouTube afterwards. So let's go ahead and get to it, Michelle. Let's start off with our first slide here, cabins at the Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort.
Yes, because we've stayed in the past at their original cabins, and this was an opportunity for us to try out the new reimagined DVC cabins at Fort Wilderness.
Yes. So how are we going to go through this today?
All right. Well, I thought we'd kind of, go over, first of all, kind of go through with why we almost didn't make this trip. Then our first impressions, because, well, it's a change for us and we wanted to see how they compared, and see if we would recommend for anybody to go back, maybe.
Yeah.
And if so, what are some things that would be helpful to
be
aware of?
And we also have some other things that we experienced that will come after we talk. We're going to talk mostly about the cabins because I think those are very new for everybody. But also we did get to check out the new menu at Pecos Bill's Tall Tale Cafe and Inn and Cafe. And we also did check out the brand new reimagined Country Bear Musical Jamboree. And we have thoughts, and we'll be bringing that up later. But first, we want to talk about the cabin. So let's go ahead, Michelle.
Well, as we said, we weren't sure even up until the day before, and that would have been our last day to cancel using DVC points. We had to make that decision, and we were back and forth for several days. And even on that final day, that Thursday, should we go or not? We weren't as concerned that the hurricane, because we knew it was going to be past Florida at that point, or past Central Florida, but we didn't know, like you said, is it going to impact the cabins, in terms of issues or flooding or anything else? Plus, what the weather was being forecasted was it was going to be hot, humid, like in the heat of the summer kind of thing, triple digit type feels like temperatures. And we thought, is it going to really be fun being at the cabins when, we have it very hot, and even go to the parks? Would that be uncomfortable? Should we reschedule this or what? And like I said, it was back and forth for several days, but we finally decided, all right, let's just do it. Let's just give it a shot.
Yeah, and we were really excited to go check out these cabins. So, it was like, do we go? One thing, again, if you know anything about these cabins, they're trailers essentially. And with the storm coming through, high winds, lots of trees in the area, it's like, okay, sometimes for some of these storms, they will close off that area just because they want to be sure all their guests are safe. We weren't even sure necessarily they'd be open. We thought they would be, but we weren't sure. We didn't know how the storminess would affect Scott. So there were a lot of things that were weighing on us going into this, but we decided when it was all said and done that this was probably one of our few chances to go. And so let's take advantage of it. The storm has passed for us anyway. Let's go ahead and go out and experience it. And I think we'll talk about it, but I think we're glad we did.
Right.
So let's go ahead. What's next for us, Michelle?
Well, we're going to kind of compare, first of all, what the original cabins were like, and what our first impressions are of the new cabins.
Okay, so let's go ahead. I've put up a slide now of what the old cabins at Fort Wilderness, the ones that have been around for a long, long time, what they look like. For those of you who are on YouTube, you can see it here. We will describe them to you as we go along for everybody who's listening on the podcast, right, Michelle?
Right. So, and if you actually go to the Walt Disney World website, they still have the images of the original cabins because they're still in transition right now of replacing these original cabins. So there are some still available that people can for cash rent, but there's also some areas, some loops that are closed because they're in the process of getting the new cabins put in. And then obviously there's some loops that are opened with the new ones. But as you can see with this one, if you're watching on YouTube, it really is like a log cabin look. It's all wood looking, and it has the nice feature of having an outdoor patio that included a picnic basket. Yeah, I wish. A picnic table.
Wow, that'd be a selling point if
I
a
know,
picnic basket came along with it. That'd be pretty cool.
And then outdoors, they had a grill, a charcoal grill that the cast members would clean out if you did use it. But as you can see, it's one of those when you first arrive and park or first arrive to that cabin, you feel like, oh, this is Fort Wilderness. This is a wilderness look, and it's got that warmth to it. And I think that was something that we were really concerned because we knew the new cabins wouldn't be the same way. So let's take a look at what the new cabins.
Well, before we get to that, I want to talk about the old cabins a little bit because we love the old cabins. Before we were DVC members, the cabins at Fort Wilderness were one of our regular destinations. We love the space, we love the feel, we love the vibe, we love everything about it. It had, it was like a 1-bedroom resort. For what it's a moderate resort, in that, yes, you're not in a main building with a lot of dining establishments or whatever. And most likely to get around the resort, you're going to have to take different modes of transportation. Right. You're going to have to probably take a bus to another bus or take a bus to a boat to get to the park. So, does that feel, but it was also comparable in price, yet you were getting this kind of privacy feeling there. You were out in nature and you were basically getting a 1-bedroom for what a lot, maybe a little bit more, but basically what a lot of the moderate resorts are going for at that rate. So that's part of the reason why we enjoyed it. We would pass up on staying at some of the more deluxe resorts to stay at these cabins because we liked all that went along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we had trips where we had your family join us and they also had cabins in the area with us. And, it's just really something we love.
It does have a great vibe. One thing, and if you are watching this on YouTube, you can see this, but I'll describe it for you. The cabins, yes, they had a very wooden feel. I mean, obviously it's a trailer. It's wood paneling on there to make it look like a log cabin. But they did have windows, but they weren't the largest windows. There wasn't a lot of bright space, a lot of natural light that went into there. I think that plays very much into what we're about to discuss with the new updated reimagined cabins, right, Michelle? Correct. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and move forward to what the new cabins look like now, which is much more of maybe a modern cabin feel, right, Michelle?
Right. It doesn't have the, traditional wooden cabin look to it on the outside, but it's still, as you said, is a modern cabin look. Has very natural tone colors to it. And not every cabin has the same colors. So when you're looking at a series of cabins next to each other, they have some variations. And I think that makes it a little, it's more appealing to the eye than just one right after another that is just identical. It also has the external porch that has a picnic table on it. We felt like we thought it had about the same square footage. It was narrower but longer. And so we thought that was at least comparable. Now, and as you can see in this one and in our next picture, it has a lot more windows. So it has 2 large window areas in the main living area. They look about the size of 2 sliding glass doors. Neither of them are sliding glass doors. One is simply just 2 large large window space. The other one is a window with a door that's a full window.
Right. The door triggered by your magic band or your phone or however key card, whatever it is that you have to open up your room. That is the door that you can. It's on the right hand side there as you first go in. It's the first thing you come in, and it looks like it should be sliding glass windows
Right.
or sliding glass doors.
But
They
it's
are
not.
not. They're just floor to ceiling windows there.
Right. And so they are tinted glass so that if somebody's walking by during the day, they're not going to really see inside. Now, in the evening, when you have lights on inside, you can see inside. Like in this particular image, you can see, and if you really look, you can see Scott is actually near one of the windows there. But during the daytime, you don't get that view inside if somebody's walking by. They do have pull curtains that are there, and all the windows that are along the edge on the upper portion are all with screens that you
They have shades you can pull down. Yes.
right, shades that you can pull down, and those are on like the front areas of that, and they are also windows on by the bedroom. And what's really nice is in the kitchen area there is a window right by the kitchen sink. So it kind of gives it that real homey feel to it.
Which they didn't really have in the original cabins. There was not kind of that window in that space. There was windows farther down.
Yeah.
The living space was kind of extended. They had windows farther down, but not in the kitchen itself. So you couldn't be at the sink and see outside and everything else. Again, another aspect of natural light. They've added some wonderful views, some wonderful natural light. And I think it's kind of cool because of the fact that part of the what's enjoyable about being in this is the outdoors area, the forest-like areas, the wooded areas that you get to see, and the fact that now you get to actually be able to be in your cabin and experience it, whereas before you kind of had to get up, you had to go over to a window and look out. You couldn't really see the wonderful nature that's around you, the wilderness around you when you were in the older cabins. Now it's right there in front of you.
Right. Now, one of the things we were a little bit, I don't know about you, but I was a little concerned is the interior of the old ones also looked very woodsy. They had a lot of wood features to them. The way the tables were set, dining table was set up, it just had that very country home style to it. So I didn't know if this was going to be really pulled away from that country feeling, but let's take a look and discuss. This picture here is kind of our first impression when you get in that living space. And as you can see, first of all, it really looks like a beautiful kitchen area. Has a full refrigerator and freezer, ice maker. We had the ice maker running for us. It has a full stovetop and oven, microwave. The coffee pot was really cool because you could do either drip coffee or Keurig style coffee making. And there you can see there's that sink kit area that has the window. The shades were slightly down. We put slightly down here, but it is a beautiful space, and it still has the raised ceiling with wood beams to give it that still kind of homey country feel to it.
Yeah, and all this, you can't see it from this angle, but this is all where the windows are. So you could sit in there and you could look outside, sitting there eating dinner inside. If it's there's a great space outside to sit and eat if you want to go sit outside. But if it's a little too warm, a little too muggy, maybe just for breakfast, you want to enjoy some space inside, then you can still sit there and look out those beautiful windows, those beautiful floor to ceiling windows, and really still take everything in. Yes, the coffee pot, we found this at the boardwalk too. I'm loving the fact, and I hope they continue with this, that fact that they have both the drip coffee where you can do a full pot if you're like getting coffee for everybody, or if you like it, or if you're just feeling like a quick cup, they do have those Keurig style makers there as well, so you can pick and choose which one is best for you on a day. I like that. I like the opportunity to choose on how you want to approach it.
Right. So when you walked in, what was your first impression?
I enjoyed it. I mean, I walked in, I thought it was impressive the way it was laid out. The windows are spectacular. They're so much better. I like the natural light going in there. And so I was really, really happy to see how the kitchen was laid out, where the living space was, where you can kind of sit and just kind of hang out with everybody in your family or whomever is there, on into the bedrooms, which I'm sure we'll discuss here in just a little bit, and how that's laid out. The bathroom is larger than what the old, it's not maybe as conveniently placed as in the old cabins, but they've done a great job of making the bathroom larger and having just some more, I don't know, it just feels like a nicer bathroom than the old units used to have.
Right. Definitely an elevated feel to it.
Very good word for it.
Now, I think one of the things that also gave us great vibes in a first impression was the amount of art that they have in there, and it's Disney related art. Now, one of the things when we first joined DVC and went for a stay the first time, I felt like I know I'm staying at a Disney resort, but there wasn't a ton of artwork. So it didn't have necessarily that feel of, oh yeah, I'm at a Disney hotel. It felt like I'm at a room conveniently located to Walt Disney World, but it didn't have that feel. I think with the reimagining that the DVC units are doing here, as well as what we've seen in the boardwalk, and we saw at Riviera, is they are putting in a lot more art that have that touches of Disney that make you realize you are at a Disney resort, and very themed to it, as we talked about when we were staying at Boardwalk and Riviera. Those images of the Disney characters are in relationship to the resort itself, and that's what we saw here. We're in the wilderness, so we saw pictures of the outdoors with characters who would be outdoors. And to start with, I love how in the couch area, and we see this in all the resorts now when they have the Murphy style beds, they usually have a piece of art on the outside, and then when you open it up, you'll see another piece of art as well to complement it. And here at Fort Wilderness Cabins, the first one you see on the that's over the couch is Mickey Mouse and Pluto in a camper, and this is a camper style that is in an actual Disney animation, classic animation. So they tied in that heritage of the company, and they're going into a check-in station at the resort. And that is the same type of check-in station that the actual, whether if you're coming in an RV or something, that you get to check in. It's a drive-through. And so it's cute that they tied in the resort as well as a classic animation right there. And it's just adorable.
Yes, absolutely. And then you open it up and there's another, like you mentioned, another adorable picture. By the way, if you're ever staying at one of these resorts that has that Murphy bed kind of pull out, the couch, whether you're sleeping on it or whether you're not, it's worth it just to open it up and take a peek and see, because there's always a little surprise out back there that is really enjoyable and fun and will probably make you smile. And that goes if you're like in a 1-bedroom suite or whatever, where they have the smaller Murphy bed that kind of pulls out from underneath the television for maybe like one child to sleep on.
Right.
There's always something cute there as well. So highly recommend you check those out. Don't ignore them when you go by and not see what extra added touch the Imagineers and the animators have put behind that spot.
Right. And, speaking of art, it's not just these pictures, although we did see more pictures. By the restroom, there was also a large Fort Wilderness picture with Chip and Dale in it. In the bedroom itself, the walls, so on the wall by the bed, will have some on the walls that include Chip and Dale. And then even in the closet, it's like an open closet, that back wall had some. And then they had another also piece of art hanging that had some tie-in with the original cabins.
Yeah, it was kind of a collage of postcards of the history of Fort Wilderness and some of the activities that you can still do to this day, but maybe were also from the past. But a lot of the past and present of Fort Wilderness, but kind of, bringing in that history of this resort that has been around since nearly the beginning of Walt Disney World, one of the classic resorts.
Right.
And it's nice that, this new stuff is also paying homage to the origin of that resort and the campgrounds.
Right.
There.
Yeah. Like I think they had a reference to the train because they used to have a train going through there as well.
I still wish they had a train there.
I know. But as you can see here and what we're going to talk about, there are other little sweet touches of details that they included, like in the neck pillow that's on the beds, they tie in images of camping. So like you have a campfire scene or, pictures of acorns and things like that. And in the bunk beds, which are really great bunk beds, the layout, and they had those in the original ones. But this one has, and we're highlighting on the image here, a little lantern on the wall that if you have a child sleeping there, they can turn it on. It's gives them some light. It's like a reading light. It's not super bright, but it just also with the theming of it looking like a lantern. It's just not a simple light or lamp there. It really fits in well with the theming, and those touches are throughout the whole cabin.
Yeah, and you can't really see it in the picture that we've put here on the YouTube version, but both the bunk beds they do have that artwork. You can see a piece of it if you're watching this on YouTube, but like each part of it, like one is for Chip. And one is, I can't remember which one it is, but one's Chip, one's Dale. So they're both kind of sleeping in trees. So that kind of ties in there as well. Again, the little nods that are, some are there and you'll get them right off the bat. And some are a little more subtle. They're like on the curtains that you could pull in front of the big windows in the living space. Right. There's Chip and Dale kind of in those as well. And you may not notice it the first time you go around, but maybe the second, third time you see them, you're going to pick it out. And it's wonderful when you do. I love the little touches that they're doing. And they're doing this regularly at these new DVC resorts, the new Disney resorts. And it's something I'm going to go back to when we were blessed to be invited to tour the Disney Animation Studios. And one of the things that we told them, we were staying at the villas at Disneyland Hotel, which had just opened up a month or two before that. And they said, well, they've been talking with us about getting more of our animation, more of our artwork within these resorts. And it really stood out there. And everything else we've seen so far, that we could tell that they're doing a much better job of getting some of this artwork, getting more Disney into your resort vacations with DVC, and everything we're seeing now from the Island Tower coming up at the Poly. Same thing from what we've seen from there. It looks like it's going to be very similar. It's very exciting to me because I love more Disney in my Disney resort stay.
Right. And the fact that they're involved with the Disney Animation Studios really just adds into the authenticity, and that the look that these characters have will be true to what everybody would expect from those characters, and really embracing the theming, like Chip and Dale being prominent throughout this resort makes sense because they have the Chip and Dale sing along with the movies Under the Stars. So it's just a lot of details that as an adult you feel like, yeah, I'm in a fun place. I'm at Disney. I can tell that. For kids, it's characters that they can identify with, that they've seen, and it's just really adorable and comfortable.
Right. I thought the space was one. It's beautiful. They've done a great job of both incorporating the natural light, as we already discussed, and the artwork. But the layout, for the most part, is really, really good. The bedroom still is the way the old cabins were. You still have a queen bed, and then the two bunk beds that are actually fairly. I think the bunk beds might have been larger than the older bunk beds.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. They felt like they were larger, but you could easily fit a large child. I don't know if you'd want to fit a teenager in there, but teenager probably would want to sleep out on the Murphy bed in the living space anyway. But you might be able to. You might be able, I think I could have slept there if I really wanted to.
I could.
Yeah. Well, you're tiny. And they've tilted it. Like, it used to be that those kind of faced out towards the living space. Now they kind of are askew, so they're facing more towards the outer wall, not lengthwise, widthwise instead. So that, I think that kind of gives you a little more privacy with the large bed, because it's kind of more tucked away outside from where the main door is open, which is good. The one difference that we have to bring up is that it used to be that the bathroom was located, like it would go bedroom, bathroom, living space, with the kitchen and then the living room area. That's now changed to where the bathroom's at the completely other end of it. So if you're going from the bedroom to the one bathroom, you're going to have to walk through the entire living space, which isn't a problem per se, unless you're worried about disturbing somebody out in the living room who's sleeping out there or whatever. But it's just one thing to take a note. But I was concerned a little bit about this. I know that you were, but I think it worked okay. And the reason they had to do this is because they wanted to make sure they had that area for all the beautiful windows.
Right.
And also doing that allowed them to make that bathroom be that much larger, that much more well appointed and elevated, as Michelle pointed out earlier. And I think that while not maybe ideal, I think it works just the same.
Right. Now, what they did add to this is having a separate sink area just outside of the bathroom. So if somebody wanted to be doing their hair or brushing their teeth, makeup, or whatever, you could do that while somebody else was still using the main part of the bathroom. The other change, and it may affect some people or impact some people, it didn't for us, is that the shower is just a shower, whereas before they had a tub shower. So that's if you have kids that you want a bathtub, that isn't there. But they did have another nice feature in the restroom.
Yeah, they have a little stool in there. So like if you have little ones that need to go up and wash their hands or brush their teeth or whatever, and then maybe there's quite a reach to get into the sink there, they have a little stool that you can pull out and they can stand on that and they can reach it easier. I'm glad that they've made it more easily functional for these kids to get in there. And definitely want to wash your hands. You definitely want to brush your teeth, and they made it more available. And yes, the extra sink outside. So when someone's showering, someone's using the toilet, whatever, the fact that you can do your hair, you can brush your teeth, you can wash your hands, and not have to use the kitchen sink to do so, it is much more functional. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of sweet touches, and I know you've posted some stuff on social media, but there was a feature that I don't want to spoil, but check out the stove.
Oh yes, it is very fun talking about Disney touches.
Yeah,
the stove even has Disney touches.
Right. So I think all in all, we felt the changes had been definitely for the positive. That we definitely appreciated the light that came in. We did get to use the outside grill and made some burgers, and that was really great to have that feature as well. And I think all in all, we felt like there was enough amenities there and space for that. The only thing I feel like space-wise that it didn't have that it used to have was if you did stay for a while and you wanted to have some food around, and I'm not saying a full pantry or anything like that, but whether it's cereal boxes or breads or canned food or something like with snacks and chips and stuff, there really wasn't separate space for you to have your own food. You would have to instead consolidate the where the dishes are and maybe create some space that way.
Right. There are a fair amount of cabinets there that you can use, but a lot of them are taken up by plateware, glassware, various cooking vessels, etc. So yes, if you are planning on using those to store your food, you are going to have to do some shifting around. There is plenty of counter space there. So, you can put some things on the countertop and those will be fine. And it's a full refrigerator. So anything that needs to be refrigerated, you got plenty of room. As Michelle mentioned, there's an ice maker there. If you like ice, you're going to have ice made for you in the freezer, so you can put your Mickey bars or whatever you want in there. So there is availability to store food. It's just, maybe you just have to finagle it a little bit.
Right.
The other kitchen aspect that I wasn't a huge fan of, but first world problems, is where the trash is kind of located. It's kind of in a cabinet and it's got a little handle. And so you either have to kind of reach in and pull it, or you need to like finagle it with your foot or whatever. But the last thing you want to do is be touching the trash with your hands, and then you have to go wash your hands again or whatever, especially if you're working with food and trying to put some scraps away or something. So again, first world problems, but not ideal. The one other thing that I think is something that needs to be brought up is where the television is placed within the living space, because it's not ideal. It's kind of located on the wall to the side next to where the couch is. So yeah, if you're sitting on one side of the couch, you can kind of watch it. You might kind of need to turn to the right and check it out. They do have another chair you can check it out from. You can be sitting at the dining room table, but if you're on the far right side of the couch, or if there's multiple people on the couch, it's like the TV is right next to you. So it's maybe not ideal, but kind of, we discussed it while we were out there. I don't know if there was another way that they could have actually put a decent sized television in there and made it work where people could see it and still have these wonderful, beautiful windows, which is really what it's all about anyway. So I think they kind of made some capitulations with, okay, well, people may not spend the most time here. They're going to be out exploring the resort. They're going to be in the parks, obviously. So we still want the TV. Maybe it's not the best space possible, but it's the best space that works with what we want to do with these cabins.
Right. Yeah. If you had several people, more than 2 or 3 people there to watch TV for a full movie, it's not going to be your most comfortable, but it's definitely doable. The bedroom has a television as well, and actually, it's a lot bigger than what they used to have. Like more of a because of the way the room laid out, they had to have just a small TV. So now you have a nice spacious TV in the bedroom.
That was another thing when they had it turned so it was lengthwise. That they could only put like a little cabinet there, and they had to put a small TV on it, and that was the only way you could watch it. Now that you're kind of facing a wall, you can put mount a television on the wall, or I think it's actually on a chest of drawers there, but it gives you a wider space to be able to put this and not block everything on your way out. Like they were
it's more
in
like
the old
a regular
cabins.
room, like a regular resort room. Yeah.
So that works well. The other thing I'm going to bring up, if you do plan on spending some time either going in and out or on the deck or whatever, by the way, the deck picnic table is smaller than it used to be. But I like it. I think it's nice. And they do have 2 chairs out there, which they didn't used to. If you wanted to sit outside on the deck, you used to have to sit on the picnic table unless you brought your own chairs. Now they have 2 chairs out there too. So you can sit out there and not feel like you have to sit on a picnic table to do so. And I like that a lot. But we mentioned there's no sliding doors. There is only the one door, and it's the door that locks. So you need your magic band, you need your phone, whatever it is that you use to open up your resort room. You need that to get in and out. And I didn't see any way to actually just kind of propped open. So it will automatically shut on you. And if you were to go in and out and you forget your magic band or your phone or any of those things, you could easily be locked out of your room. We did kind of find a workaround with it where there's a little deadbolt on it that you can kind of latch and let the door shut. And so the deadbolt will kind of keep it just propped slightly open. But just know that I can see a lot of people getting locked out of their room and either having to pound on the glass to get their family members to open it up, or have to go run and find housekeeping, or maybe even have to go all the way to the Disney transportation to the main check-in point and get somebody to open it up for them. So be prepared to have your magic band on with you regularly as you're going through there.
Right. The prior cabins would have a door that just would stay open if you opened it. So if you were like bringing things in from your car in, or bringing food in and out from the kitchen into the outdoor picnic table area, that was more convenient to have the door not automatically closed.
It also might,
it makes sense.
Yeah, it also might hinder if, like, say you have a large group visiting, like we've had large groups that have visited us when we've been in the cabins before, family members, friends, etc. And maybe some people wanted to be outside and some people wanted to be inside. Well, you can kind of hold conversations through the door.
Right.
That way, with it open, now the door is going to close. So, it's going to be a separate conversation. So know that going in, because there's just kind of no way. I mean, there may be a way to prop that door open. I didn't see it. If there is, it wouldn't surprise me if there's not. But everybody has a little trick. Maybe you have a door stop you bring with you. I don't know. You might find a different way to do it. But remember, you are in the wilderness. You prop that door open. You never know what creepy crawly might come into your place.
It's probably, designed that way because things could, jump off of trees or off the ground and crawl in.
And there is wildlife around.
Right,
there is wildlife around. So
you don't. I could see them having that for a reason.
Yes, absolutely. Completely. 100%. And like they do for all, I mean, also, you don't want to walk away from your room. You're in a hurry to get out and catch a bus, get to the park, whatever. And you just kind of, leave the door and doesn't quite shut completely behind you. There's a reason why resort room doors do that, because they want to be sure that it latches, it closes for you. It's always good to check anyway. But you want to be sure you don't leave your resort room open. So just some random person could get in there and get your stuff.
So what do you think? What would be your conclusion of whether or not we'd return there?
Well, mine might be a little different than somebody else in our family. And I'm not talking about you. I loved it. I think it's spectacular. I think it's fantastic. I love the new natural light. Despite a couple things that we brought up, I think it's laid out really, really well. We love the cabins before. We love these cabins as well. Scott, on the other hand, not that he didn't like it. I just think there's a few places in Walt Disney World that if he had his choice, he'd be wanting to stay. Because like we would pass by the Contemporary on a boat going to Magic Kingdom, and he kept pointing like, I want to be there.
Yeah, he loves
This
Bay
is
Lake
fine.
Tower.
But I really want to be at Bay Lake Tower. I want to be at the Contemporary. So he loves there. He loves the Riviera for the Skyliner and everything about that. So he has his favorites. I don't know if this is his favorite, but I don't think that he hates it. I just don't know if it would be his choice of where to stay.
Right. I agree. I don't think it's his first choice. And some of that had to probably be because it was different. And he had been at that cabin with the traditional style for so long, since he was little, since he was a toddler. So I think that played into it a lot as well. We tried to prepare him ahead of time to say it's going to be different, but some similarities. But just like with us, it's until you see it, you don't know what it's like. But yeah, I agree. It definitely is a place that I would love to stay actually longer. I felt like after 2 nights, especially since we came in late in the evening, the first night, I would love to have a couple extra days there and do some of the extra things. I forgot one other feature before we get into that, before I forget, is they have two separate air conditioning
That's right.
units. One is for the living area, and the other one is for the bedroom. And I thought that was a good feature to have, that you could adjust the temperature of those rooms separately, and they were actually separate units.
Yeah, so that way, if maybe you like a little colder when you sleep in the bedroom, but you don't necessarily need it as cold when you're out having breakfast or lunch or whatever it might be, or maybe you like it colder there and a little warmer at night. It's up to you. You can adjust as you see fit.
Yeah, and we didn't have the sunniest of days when we were out there, but I would wonder if on some days that are really sunny, and especially as where the direction that the cabin was pointed to when the sun was shining, that living area might get hotter during the day than in the bedroom. And if you just tried to cool that area down and wanted to have a child take a nap during the day, they might be freezing.
Right.
So I like that they have the two separate temperature controls.
Yeah, that's good.
But anyways, as I was saying, I think part of the things that we liked were some of the activities that they have extra there that you wouldn't necessarily find at some of the resorts, that we might want to say would be a compelling reason to return and stay a little longer.
Yeah, there's so much to do. And this is part of the reason why we discussed this, is like, we feel like we really need time to explore this resort, because there is so much to do at this resort. Of course, go to the parks. I mean, why wouldn't you? But even if you didn't want to go to the parks, if you just wanted to enjoy yourself 4, 5, 7 days and just take in everything there is to do at this resort, there is so much to offer, right, Michelle?
Yes, absolutely. Now, for those of you watching on YouTube, we just pulled up some images that kind of share with you what some of the extras. Now, the Bike Barn is a location. It's at the Meadow, so it's in a station that's kind of midway in the whole universe of the Fort Wilderness.
It's also where the main pool is as well. There's a couple pools, but that's where the main
one is. But that's where you can arrange to do things like you can rent bicycles, which we one of the things we commented while we were there taking a walk is it's a great place to do bicycles. There's some really beautiful trails that you can be going around. If you're there during the holiday time and you want to see how people are decorating their cabins, or the people who have come in campers, how they're decorating, bicycling through that area would be a lot of fun. They also have a little stream that you can do kayaking or canoeing, and you can rent those there. They have obviously well-known evening sing-along and campfire sing-along and movies under the stars with Chip and Dale. And if you've ever done that at some of the other resorts, what they typically do is bring in an inflatable screen that they can project the film on, and they set up some seating area. But this one is permanent, so they have a screen that they've had there because this is the original where they first started doing this activity at night, and they have small like stadium outdoor seating, and they have a very large pit for toasting marshmallows and making s'mores, and it's just more of a festive, it's a hopping place at night.
Yeah, and it's the only one. I mean, a lot of the resorts now have some sort of fire pit where you can roast some marshmallows, and if you want to pay a little more, you can do s'mores. But this is the only one, I believe, on the Walt Disney World Resort property that has the sing-along to go along with it. And yes, the characters Chip and Dale. So that's an extra fun, exciting piece of, and the cast members, they get so involved with it and have such a good time of getting everybody else involved that it's so much fun.
Right, exactly. Now there was an activity when we were out exploring that you mentioned that they now have with pickleball, I believe.
Yeah, so they also have they do have a pickleball court, and apparently they do pickleball lessons where you can kind of learn how to play pickleball if you've never done it before. So if you ever wanted to try this fast emerging sport, you can try your own hand at pickleball and learn how to do it there. They even have I guess a Segway tour through there.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. There's so many things to do there. They have the Circle R Ranch where they have a lot of the horses that pull many of the Disney vehicles that you'll see like on Main Street USA, or Cinderella's coach. And sometimes that coach is on display there as well. So you can take the little ones, or, the not so little ones, out and see all these wonderful creatures as well out there. They have horseback riding, they have archery, a lot of these for extra fees, not everything necessarily for an extra fee. They have something that we discovered that we never saw before, is that for a little extra fee, you can do kind of panning for gemstones, out there too. And that's kind of something fun for the kids, and the kids at heart as well. There's just so many things to do. I'm like, well, there's so many things that I'd love to experience here that we just have not had the chance to, and that maybe if we had doing an extended stay there, we could do sometime in the near future.
Right. I mean, you could also do things like that are more arts and crafts, and again, these come with added fees, but you can do a lot of things that you would see at other DVC resorts, and some extra things that you can make some great take-home decor that are very themed with the resort as well. So there is just a tremendous amount of fun. You brought up wildlife.
Yeah, we were there walking to a bus stop, and right up there next to us came 3 wild turkeys, and apparently they're accustomed to guests being around because they were not moving away from us as we were walking by. I mean, they weren't like challenging us or anything, but they were just right there feeding, and they're like, you don't scare us. We're all good here.
They had no interest in
right.
us.
We saw some deer when we were out there. I mean, we've done that many times. This is, I think, the first time we've seen wild turkeys out there, but I've heard others people have seen them before. But yeah, there's wildlife, so you very much feel like you're in the wilderness right there. Of course, there's the Hoop-Dee-Doo. Everybody knows that. It's the famous show. It's been going on for decades out there. Something to do there. On the beach, if you want your fireworks, you can you can see the fireworks from Magic Kingdom right there on the beach. They pipe the music in to go along with it. And yes, of course, the famous electrical water pageant goes by there every night as well. So you get all that too from your stay if that's what you choose.
Right. You can also rent to do the carriages, the horse-drawn carriage there.
You get a tour, yeah.
Right. And on the during the Christmas holiday time, they have special ones that are around the theming of Christmas as well. But yeah, and you can also there do some things that you can do at other resorts as well. You mentioned pools. You can also do arrange for fishing, the catch and release fishing tours. They also have where you can rent a pontoon boat and go out on the Seven Seas Lagoon and just do a lot of fun things.
Fireworks cruise that you can do. Again, all these for extra fees, of course. But things that you can book, and they do sell out. A lot of these things do sell out. So book in advance if you're going to do them. But so much to do. So much to do outside of it. If you've been to the parks numerous times, and maybe you're looking for a couple extra days to do something different. And a lot of these things you can do without staying there, by the way, if you just want to come by the Fort Wilderness Resort. You can do these things, but also much easier to stay. Another thing I'm going to recommend, that if you can afford it, and it's not cheap, but if you can afford it, get yourself a golf cart. Now, those also will book up regularly as well. But man, this resort is built to go around in a golf cart and get here and go there, get your, catch a boat to Magic Kingdom, go and catch a bus, go see the hoop-de-doo, go stop by, pick up some groceries, go to the pool, whatever it might be. And even the guests get involved with it. They'll deck out their golf carts depending on the holiday season. It could be Halloween, it could be the holidays, it could be 4th of July, and they do little parades and stuff, and it's just fun. So I would recommend, even if it's just a 2, 3, 4 nights of your stay, if you're staying there for an extended period of time, to look into it if you can afford it, to getting one of those golf carts, because they are an ideal way to get around.
Right. You can rent them right there from Disney. There are some companies, obviously, that offsite that you can have them. They'll deliver and pick up a golf cart. The ones at Disney are only available if you're staying at the resort. They used to be available to anybody, but now they, because they know it's something that people really like to do, they limit it to that. But if you don't get that, you can use the internal bus system that comes frequently. We used it because we didn't have it. We've I think only one time gotten the golf carts. It's doable, and it's not really inconvenient.
Yeah, if you can bring a bike or bikes for your family, if you have that ability, it's a very bikeable resort. Mm-hmm. You can also rent bikes for periods of time. Again, money, but you can do that. It's a very walkable resort. I mean, I don't think it's a significant different distance from even the beginning to the end. It seems like a long ways, but as long as you kind of know the route, it's not as far as it feels. And
it's a pretty walk.
It is a very beautiful walk. Again, very outdoors, very nature. You will love it. We got the chance to do a nice little walk on our last day there. And it was just so nice, kind of just trotting through those grounds and checking out everything and enjoying it. So many big trees, and you get so much shade. And, as long as it's not when it's the hottest part of the day. We were there kind of mid-morning, and it was really nice. It was a nice walk, and I'm glad we got the chance to experience it.
Right. One thing is, I think we were fortunate that it wasn't quite as humid and hot as what was originally forecast. I
may have gotten that way later in the day, but it wasn't when we were out.
But we had some good times, so it wasn't like that, even at the parks. But I know that even when we were taking the walk, you were mentioning how it would be a great place to do running or jogging if that's something that,
and I've done. It's a great place for if you're a morning runner or whatever part of the day runner on your vacation. Not everybody wants to exercise on their vacation, but if you do, even just a walk, just a nice brisk walk, it's great space for that. It's a great space for a run. I've run a lot recently. I've been doing more stuff inside because it's been really hot in Florida. But I was like, I should have brought my running gear, because it was really, really beautiful to go through there. It's a really nice space to run, that's for sure.
Right. And obviously, like they have at other resorts, there are pools. So in fact, our loop, which was kind of on the outer part opposite of the settlement, had a pool at the very next loop area. And it also had laundry facility there. So it was great.
It's the swimming hole.
The swimming hole, yes. They also have a scavenger hunt, free scavenger hunt. You can get your...
as they do in many Disney resorts.
Yeah. You can pick that up at the...
You held it upside down.
Oh, yes.
For those of you on the podcast, you don't care, but for the YouTube video, it's pretty funny.
But yeah, it is the Fort Wilderness scavenger hunt. You can get it at the sheet over at the bar. What is it? Bike Barn?
It's at the Bike Barn as well.
Yeah, Bike Barn. You pick it up there for free. You fill it out, find all the things, and you come back and you get like a little prize, I think stickers or something like that.
Just something fun, just something extra to do. Why not? Why not?
But yeah, there's a lot of great things. It definitely provides you all the fun that you could get at any of the Disney resorts. There are eating places. They're consolidated. There's some over at the Meadows as well as the settlement areas.
Most of at the settlement, there is a smaller place, especially by the pool, kind of a poolside place,
right
over at the Meadows, which is the middle part where the main pool is. But the settlement has P&J's Takeout. It has Hoop-de-Doo, of course. It also has Crockett's Tavern.
Right. which Crockett's Tavern is a great
Mhm.
place to do, even if you're not staying there, is take the boat from Magic Kingdom over to Fort Wilderness. You can also pick up boats from Wilderness Lodge as well
In the
to in the
Contemporary.
Contemporary in the
Later
afternoon.
in the day, yeah.
Right. To get over to whether you go to Hoop-de-Doo or if you want to go to Crockett's Tavern, they have a lot of great like small plates, charcuterie boards. They have some interesting cocktails, their signature
Did some
cocktails.
moonshine cocktail flights for those of
Yes,
you
which are
moonshine favorites. Yeah.
amazing. Amazing. So it like I said, it offers you everything that any of the resorts, but a little few not few, actually a lot of great extras that you could do that are very well themed to that resort.
Anyway, I think it's obvious. Yes, we loved it. We like the reimagined cabins. We will be going to stay there again sometime in the near future. We're very excited to do so. Now, we did experience a few more new things when we were out there because we did get to Magic Kingdom and we talked about it already a little bit. There were some new experiences that we wanted to be sure and check out. So I'm going to go ahead and start with we got the chance to go and check out the Pecos Bill Tall Tale Inn and Cafe new menu that just came out a few weeks ago. We heard it. We were really excited about it. We liked Pecos Bill. Okay. It wasn't one of our favorite spots at Magic Kingdom, but the new menu was really intriguing to us. So we wanted to be sure to check it out. So that is exactly what we did. Now, I put up a picture on YouTube. For those of you watching on YouTube, you're going to see a picture here of the food. That is not a picture we took of the food because we were silly and did not take any pictures of our food. This is from the Disney Parks blog. Thanks to the Disney Parks blog for this picture. But I'm going to say this, outside of the actual plate, it wasn't that different from this picture of what we received. And that made me very happy.
Right, exactly. And it had a lot of great flavors to it. And it was a create your own kind of dish.
Right. So that's what they're doing now. It's kind of a build your own thing. You can do a tamale, you can do a nachos bowl, you can do a rice bowl, you can do a Southwestern salad bowl. We did the tamale. Both of us did the tamale. It is a green chili and cheese tamale, but we both got different proteins on top of it. You can pick your protein along with it. Michelle got the citrus chipotle chicken. Michelle, what did you think of the citrus chipotle chicken and the dish in general?
So I thought it was very good. I really liked it. I have to say I was persuaded differently after trying your dish, but I really liked it. I liked the tamale. The consistency was what you'd expect in a tamale. It came with the side of beans. I thought it had great flavor. The chicken was moist, and I liked it.
Yeah, it was very good. I liked your chicken. It was very, very good. And the tamale is excellent. It comes with rice and beans, like you mentioned. It's really, really, it's a good dish just on that. However, I splurged a little bit. I think it's 25 cents or 50 cents more. I went with the Coca-Cola cherry braised beef. And let me tell you, if you like beef, if you're okay eating beef, it is worth that small splurge because that beef, it is sweet. It is a little spicy. It's braised. It is fork tender. It is amazing. It's wonderful. It is a hit, I would say.
Right. I mean, considering I tend to go plant-based a lot, especially in the parks, this is one that it's worth going, breaking that and going into having the beef because, as Tom mentioned, tender, sweet, spicy. Not it had a kick to it. It wasn't
overpowering.
It wasn't
spice,
overpowering.
But they're just a little hint to kind of balance the sweetness.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was kind of right on the edge of. I probably wouldn't want it a whole lot hotter, but I thought it was good. They do have sides of hot sauce if you wanted to add some more. But it just had a great taste. That braising with the cherry cola really was fabulous.
It was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was super impressed. I was very happy with that dish. We wanted to do the full thing. So we splurged on the queso and the guacamole. And I'm going to tell you, you don't need to do that. The guacamole, I was hoping they would have upgraded the guacamole a little bit along with the menu. No, it's the same not good guacamole that you've gotten from Pecos Bill for a long time. So you don't need to do that. Queso is a little bit better, but I don't think it brings anything significant to the dish. If you like it, get it. It's not necessary to add to the dish. The dish is fine just with those. They also, you can put pork on there. There is a pork that you could put on there as the protein. We did not sample that, so I can't give you a read on that. But I am a huge fan of that beef. If you didn't notice already, I will be getting that again. And I think that this is something that we will definitely be adding to our quick service repertoire at Magic Kingdom much more often, for sure.
Right. And Scott also loved that beef, but he had a different type.
Yeah. So he got the kids' beef nacho bowl. So chips along with that beef. He got some beans on the side with it. And there's a couple other things, that comes with kids' meals. But he powered through. He really liked that a lot. He powered on through that.
Right. You can get the nacho bowl without being a kid's bowl. We got that for him because of some of the other sides that he likes. That was just easier to get with that.
You were going to get him a Sunday.
Yeah.
So yeah, he didn't need to have over too much food.
Right. Exactly. Which is why also that we didn't sample the desserts, because they have some great sounding desserts, and they don't look like they're giant portions. So it seems like it would be enough to really get to the sweet part of the dessert that you'd want. But I love it.
Yeah. Something that for us to return to Pecos Bill for, and we will be returning because the main courses are so good. The one thing I'll say that was a bit disappointed in, because I was excited to try this, but we did also get a side of the the barbecue cheddar seasoned fries, and they're seasoned fries. Okay. If you like seasoned fries, they're fine seasoned fries. There's nothing wrong with them. But if you didn't tell me they had barbecue cheddar in the name, I would never have gotten that from them. Again, if you like something
salt kind of seasoning.
Seasoned salt. If you're looking for something better than or different than your regular fries, then they're fine. But don't expect a lot of cheddar, a lot of barbecue flavor. At least from the ones we got, they are fine fries. They're just, I wouldn't go out of my way to get those. But the other things, especially that beef, 100%. Go to Pecos Bill, check it out.
For sure.
So, and we talked about a Sunday just a second ago. Well, that came into play for something else that we decided we wanted to do, because the another thing that was just kind of getting off and started and reimagined just within the last few months was, of course, the Country Bear Jamboree. Now, we mentioned this before, is that we wanted to experience this, but we knew Scott wants no part of it. He is not going in there. He has no reason to go into the Country Bear Jamboree. So we are not going in there as a family. So we were going to kind of have to tag team this thing. And so Michelle's like, you know what? Why don't we do this since we're down here? This was right after Pecos Bill. You're down here in the area anyway. Why don't you go ahead, she told me, and go in and check this out. And he and I will go get a sundae while you're doing that. And then you can kind of report back. So that's what we decided to do. And she's like, maybe I'll go later in the day. Maybe I'll go at some other point. I'll be coming back on another visit. I can go check it out at that time. So they went off to get the sundae. I went in, did the show, watched the show, walked out of the show, texted her. She said they were going to Winnie the Pooh to go ride that. I beelined it over there, found them at Winnie the Pooh, and I stopped her at that spot. And I'm like, you need to go see this show right now. You don't need to wait till later in the day. You don't need to wait until another visit. You need to go see this show. So Scott and I went on Winnie the Pooh, and Michelle went and saw the show. And Michelle, what did you think about the reimagined Country Bear Musical Jamboree?
Well, in a word, adorable. I really, really loved it. And again, change is not something I'm always enthusiastic about. I kept an open mind, but this really hit all the right spots. It included the characters that we loved from before. It had great songs. I like country music, but it's not my favorite style of music. But I thought it worked super well, and having the Disney songs that we know from Disney films was fabulous. I have to say, from that very first song that when they hit together, I welled up with tears. I just thought it was beautiful. The whole show, it had a great flow to it. No spoilers here, but it really worked. It was fabulous.
So we'll preface this by, we were fans of the original Country Bear Jamboree. I saw it growing up when I was at Disneyland, no longer at Disneyland, but I enjoyed it at Disneyland. Michelle grew up watching it out here at the Walt Disney World Resort. We still would make regular visits to see the Country Bear Jamboree when we would go to Magic Kingdom because we enjoyed it. I went to this show and I was immediately 100% blown away. This is one of the best adaptations, the best changes they've made recently at the Walt Disney World Resort. It's amazing. It's phenomenal. The show is great. The costuming that they've done, outstanding. I think they've upgraded the animatronics. They seem like they're flowing more smoothly than they were before. Then you get to the music, and yes, it's got that same country vibe that, that Country Bear vibe that you expect, but it's also got these punch of these wonderful, amazing Disney songs that we all love, that your kids are going to love. It is so darn good. It is one of my favorite new things. It is a must do from here on out, I think. I couldn't say that about Country Bear. Yes, we would go often. It was not a must do in Magic Kingdom. It is now a must do show every time we're in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. When I mentioned they have the same characters that you're familiar with, including the mounted heads that are there. They still do the funny jokes at the beginning, but they're also it seems like they're much more involved in the show than the prior version of it. They sing with some of the songs as well. So it really was great. I love the energy in the theater now, because even over the past few years, and we didn't go every time we'd go to the parks, but when we'd go, there weren't a lot of people. Sometimes people would clap to the beat of the song, other times not, but people weren't only just clapping to the beat of the song, but as the performers would finish a song, and the curtain closes in front of them, people were applauding as if they were real people, actors doing these performances. It was great. The energy, people loved it.
Yeah, there's a point in it. It hits across the board on so many different parts of it, and there's at least one portion of it where I guffawed, like I laughed out loud at a gag that gets pulled off. I'm no spoilers here. You'll probably know what part it is, but I laughed so hard. It was so funny. This show is great. And yes, as you mentioned, the crowd, it used to be with the Country Bear Jamboree, and it may be that way again in a couple of years. It's all very new now, but it used to be like, they would always tell you, and they do this all the time when you go in the theater, like, oh, make your way across the theater so you can make room for everybody. They're like, why would I go past the middle? There's no one behind me. Well, that's not the case now. That theater is packed now, and everybody's enjoying it. The vibe is spectacular. I didn't want to leave I wanted to watch the show again. I want to go back again. It is so good. It is one of the best things that has happened at Walt Disney World. Again, I love the old Country Bears. This is Country Bear. I don't know if it's 2.0, 3, whatever you want to call it, is just such an amazing addition to Magic Kingdom, to the Walt Disney World Resort.
Right. I was not, throughout the whole show, I was never disappointed that it changed.
Don't miss it. Go out of your way. Yes, it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes of air conditioning extra, which should be enough for you to go anyway. But this show is, I really believe if you go see it, even if you didn't care about the Country Bears before, this may become one of your new favorite shows and something you really will want to do more often, if not every time you're there, because it is that good, especially if you love Disney songs and just a cool, funny vibe. It's really, really fun.
Agreed. 100%.
Go out of your way. Go. Definitely go check it out. So that's it. Then we did some fun stuff. We did some new stuff, some reimagined stuff. We had some great experiences out there. If you have any questions about some of the things we experienced, please hit us up at our Gmail account, social media. We'll be happy to answer them. Right, Michelle?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so that's a look at some of the new stuff that's been happening around the Walt Disney World this year.